Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here. We have Cirrus back over there. Hi,
Technically
Cirrus.
speaking. I mean, hi.
Yeah. So if you were following along Cirrus's stream, Cirrus has had a bit of a rough one. So go over to their channel and donate money to their stuff. Yeah, it's twitch.tv/NecoCirrus, which okay. I've been streaming with you for an embarrassingly long amount of time to have just learned this, but I think it was just last week that I learned what Neko means.
Yeah? Cat?
Yeah, and it was a week that you weren't on.
I was being told that some stuff happened while GE was on.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I learned some things. But also, you know what? Oh, yeah, my Twitch chat is getting mad because I took away the hat redeem. Yeah, I'm not feeling the hats tonight, so I turned it off. I will turn it back on later. But
I'm gonna be honest, I learned with redeems eventually to turn them off for videos that are being recorded because I don't know if it's ADHD brain or what, but it makes me squirrel. I'm just like, oh god, there's this thing, and now suddenly I've spent 2 minutes talking about that instead of the topic.
Yeah, I do that anyway, so I don't really feel like that will affect anything. Yeah, no, but yeah, you had your little session over on your channel where you explained everything that's going wrong in your life, but I feel like it's time to pay attention to me though, because I have problems in my life as well. You see, this morning when I took the dog out for a walk, when she woke me up at an ungodly hour, and I took her out for a walk, and then I slipped and fell on my bottom.
Wait, you too? So
God damn it, Cirrus, why you gotta one-up me all?
So it is a one-up because for mine it was 2 dogs. So I had my friend come over to look at the well to try to figure out what was going on because my friend's a contractor. So I was like, hey, can you diagnose what the hell is going on? I don't have running water. While they were down at the well, I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring Growlithe and Chip down there because they could use a walk, and it's been a little bit. They've got a big backyard, so usually I don't have to. I strung them together with one of those like leash cords and got them both in harnesses. And as soon as I started walking with them, they ran downhill in the slippery wet, and so I went down, just down. I don't even know if it's technically downhill. I just went on the ground.
See, I can't even blame the dog though. She didn't pull me down. Like, she's too small to pull me down. It was just really slippery out, and I didn't realize how slippery out it was because I was tired and groggy because she woke me up at friggin' 5:30 in the morning or whatever it was. But yeah. So I can't even jokingly have a problem without you having the same problem or worse.
It was funny too because my friend who was looking at the well just looked at me like as Growlithe and Chip knocked me over and went, yeah, I saw that coming. I just wasn't going to say anything.
Why wouldn't he say anything? You could have hurt yourself.
Look, good friends are the ones that will laugh at you when you fall, but they'll pick you back up.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, also, so my partner, as many of you may or may not be aware, is studying psychology. She's going for a master's in psychology to be a therapist. And she was reading in a book, one of her course books. I think it's a course book, or it might just be one that's related to the course that she picked up on her own. I don't know, because she eats that stuff up. But it was talking about how cultures of privacy can actually, like, they actually exacerbated the problem of like women being oppressed throughout history. So like the idea that like, oh, you don't talk about what happens in your home with anyone outside the home. And so then that meant that someone that might need resources, might need help to, you know, go talk to someone else, they would not feel comfortable doing that. And even if they did feel comfortable doing that, the other person that they were talking to, there was a good chance that they would just be like, oh, why are you telling me this? This isn't my business. Keep it to yourself. And so all this culminated in an explanation as to why me talking about the experiences that I've had experimenting with shoving things up my butt live on stream is actually good for society.
Because you're communicating.
I'm helping to normalize having these ordinarily private discussions in a very public way.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, my Doctor Who review video thingy that you uploaded like 2 weeks ago just went up yesterday, I think. And one of the comments I got on it, that I completely forgot we went off on that tangent, was like someone being like, yeah, no, that wasn't a bad video, but like, did you really have to spend 5 minutes talking about shoving things up your butts? And I was like, I'm doing it for society, goddammit.
That's it makes sense though, because it coincides with a lot of the stuff that I've been researching as well. Because I've not been able to produce my normal amount of content, I've been consuming more content, because that's what you do when you can't do your job, is you go watch other people do their jobs.
Yeah. And that's how we ended up watching an hour-long video on Rule 34.
I'm only 30 minutes into it. The other 30 minutes is Schrodinger's to me right now.
Yeah, it's good.
It is a good video. But no, I started on I want to say a mental health journey, but more of like researching more mental health stuff and just finding a lot more about atomization of society than I knew about before. Yeah. And how a lot of our because I used to have the common thought of, no, we don't have more mental illnesses in society right now. We have a better way of diagnosing them and therefore more naturally crop up. And as I've been doing more research, I'm like, oh, wait, no, actually, because our brains have neuroplasticity, we do have more mental illnesses because we are isolating and atomizing ourselves more. And that leads to us adapting and creating what's called maladaptive habits, which can lead to mental illness because our brains are neuroplastic. I just fixated on that entirely. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure Heidi over there will be able to tell you all about maladaptive coping mechanisms and everything. But yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on in my life. So obviously, feel pity for me now. Cyrus has had enough. Actually, it was kind of funny. I resubbed to your channel.
Yeah, you own my channel now, apparently.
Yeah. But as I was doing that, I was like one click away from the final checkout thing when you started going off on like, oh, and I'd also need to thank Vice Rhino for this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, God damn it! Now if I hit the button, like,
it's gonna look more conceited.
Yeah, like no, I was just already doing that. But yeah, everybody go give a sub to Cyrus.
I also need to say Ravi, two people. One person whose name starts with a G, but I don't want to say the real name because PayPal. And Ravi, because I do recognize Ravi's name, both just donated a not insignificant amount. Ravi donated $500 to the stream, which is about a little under a fifth of what the estimates I've been looking at say for well repair. It says anywhere between 1,000 and like 2,750, which is a lot more than I have in my bank account.
Burst pipes are no fun.
It's so Rhino. It's not a burst pipe. It's the well pump.
Oh,
it's okay. The well pump is dead.
Yeah, all right. I don't know. I'm on city water, so I don't understand all your well stuff.
I know more about it now than I was comfortable with like a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, I am on Fort Erie, the town that I live in, is the most expensive town for water in all of the Niagara Peninsula. Like, when I lived in Welland, our water bill was like $200 every 6 months. And like, that's like, it was a low enough bill that like they only billed you every 6 months. And it was like $200. Mm-hmm. In Fort Erie, if I don't use a single drop of water, just for the privilege of being connected to city water, it's $100 every month. It's so fucking expensive.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Anyway, we should do some news.
We probably should.
Now, this I let my standards slide a little bit as to which sources I was using this time. I mean, this is probably the worst one that I could use to introduce us with, because this is NPR. It's one of the best sources there is. So not with this one, but like with the last two stories, I didn't go with the more reputable sources because they weren't writing as funnily, and B, one of them is like, I'm not entirely sure the interpretation is accurate, and so there might be a reason that the more reputable sources aren't reporting on it. But yeah, we can start with the Biden won New Hampshire. Not really a surprise until you learn that he wasn't on the ballot.
What?
So, yeah, no, Biden was not on the ballot in New Hampshire, because New Hampshire, okay. Y'all's primary system is fucked up. Your whole election system is fucked up.
Yes, it is.
So basically, New Hampshire has a law, a state law, that basically says, we're going first when it comes to primaries. It's a law in New Hampshire that they have to be the first state to do the primary. I don't know how that could work on a state level, and clearly it doesn't, because the DNC was like, not this year, you're not. We're going to go to, what was it, North Carolina that they did before New Hampshire? And because it went that way, the DNC was staying out of New Hampshire and being like, no, we'll just let whatever happens there happen on their own. And so that was where a couple of like random Democrats were like, hey, maybe I can get my name out there, and probably like definitely not going to win the nomination this year, but like people will then have heard my name if I want to, run again next year or whatever.
It's very, very lay the groundworky.
Yeah.
Put yourself in a position where you can start.
Yeah. So like next time it comes around, we're like, oh, Biden's not up anymore. And we're like, oh yeah, I remember this name. This is just name recognition. So officially the DNC was not involved in this. But a bunch of people just wrote in Biden's name anyway, and he still won. And like by a lot, he had like 75% of the vote or something. Okay, let's actually read the article. Look, we get
why were there many Bidens?
Many Bidens, lots of. I don't know. I'm assuming that's a glitch with my little news aggregator thing that actually formats everything identically.
It's called Pocket, right?
Yes, it's called Pocket. And yeah, sometimes you get weird little glitches like this, but overall, it's like the things that I don't like about it are vastly outweighed by that which I do like about it. So yeah, Biden wins New Hampshire Democratic primary on Tuesday. Unusual race that he skipped after the party changed its rules in favor of seeing South Carolina, not North Carolina, hold the first nominating contest of the year. As a result, Biden was on the printed ballot, but he won regardless, according to the race, which was called by the Associated Press. The victory comes after... I don't like the way they went with it. The victory comes after a grassroots campaign urged Democrats to write in his name, and a super PAC raised about $1.5 million to back the effort. Is it still a grassroots campaign once a super PAC throws $1.5 million at it?
Also, it's very hard to say grassroots campaign when you're the incumbent. I'm sorry, but it's not grassroots anymore. You're the incumbent. The deck is stacked in your favor, my guy. Like, I don't know how that's grassroots in any way. Not only do you have super PAC funding, but you hold the fucking office.
Oh no, the idiot just lost power. Don't know. We can't have people losing power. No, because there's been so many power outages in January. And yeah. So the outcome is more symbolic than anything. So because the DNC broke with tradition, went with South Carolina instead of New Hampshire. New Hampshire has that law, so they're like, no, we got to be first. I don't know. The whole race to be first thing, I know you got that weird thing where like every state has to administer their own elections in their own ways, even when it comes to federal elections for some reason.
Yeah.
But like, could there not be something where it's just like, we all do it on the same day?
So as much as I would like that to be the case, No, apparently they prefer having it be, hey, we do things on different days in different states. And by the way, every county has a different place you need to go, and the place will change probably every year, depending on what county you're in.
Some places are caucuses, some places are voting, and caucusing is just a stupid process. Like that puts peer pressure into the electoral process. I'm sorry, but like if I'm a member of a family that is like completely like politically opposite of me, but will like there are going to be social consequences for like if they find out that I voted for someone that they don't approve of. I don't want to be in a gymnasium where if I go stand with the wrong people, I'm now ostracized from my family. I would rather just mark it down on a sheet of paper in private, put it in a ballot box, and nobody knows.
Especially because in some families, not only do they not want to talk about politics, but some of the voters aren't actually super informed. So you may end up creating a scenario where you create enemies due to your own ignorance. Like let's say, for instance, that you knew absolutely nothing about the 2016 election, and you had a choice between Hillary Clinton and Trump, and you know that you don't like Hillary for any number of vapid reasons, but you don't like them, and you saw Trump in Home Alone. And that is the extent of your political knowledge. And so you vote for Trump because he's the name when you don't automatically have like a bile association with him.
To be fair, Hillary versus Trump wouldn't have come up in the caucus because that's purely partisan.
No, right. I'm saying this is a failure of that methodology.
So Fennec the Rabbit says, just Fennec, I'm sorry, force of habit, says, can someone please explain caucuses? I'll try. It's this wild system.
It's a funny word to say.
Yeah, it is. It's this wild system where like you show up at a high school gymnasium or something, and then there are like booths set up for the various candidates, and there will be people at the booths like yelling at you to try and convince you to come over to stand with them. And if there are enough people standing with them at the appointed time when they will do the counting, they will then count heads by who's standing near the booths, and then eliminate like the bottom contestant or the bottom candidate, and then the people that were caucusing with the bottom candidate now have to redistribute themselves among the candidates that are still there, and then that process keeps going until there's only one left. And it's this stupid, ridiculous, just like it makes no sense. It's archaic. I don't even want to say it's archaic because I feel like even the founding fathers would have seen that as a stupid thing, but apparently not because some of them did it. I don't know. I'm probably explaining a lot of this wrong, but like that's my understanding of it. And the opinions, when people get opinionated about caucusing, seem to kind of at least match up with my conclusion that it's completely stupid.
Yeah, they're held in a high school gymnasium, not because you need that much space, but because a high school is the only place that kind of bullshit belongs.
Yeah, it's popularity contest.
Yeah.
So Representative Dean Phillips, that's the guy who challenged Biden, he prompted New Hampshire Democratic establishment to organize a writing. Wait, no. Okay, his push to challenge Biden is what prompted the Democratic establishment to organize a writing campaign. Again, you called it grassroots earlier. Now you're saying it was organized by the Democratic establishment. How is that grassroots?
Yeah, we're just now using words and not actually assigning any real meaning to them. Yeah. We're just using words because they sound funny, like caucus.
Yeah. They're trying to make sure that Biden was not embarrassed by the primary result. Would it really be embarrassing if he lost when he wasn't on the ballot? Like, I mean,
why do we care if he's embarrassed?
So, yeah, I don't actually. Well, we care in the sense that if people see, like, people wouldn't necessarily see that Biden wasn't on the ballot because New Hampshire has this weird law. So technically, they weren't, or they were supposed to go first, but they didn't go first, so they went first anyway, and there was this weird, complicated thing, and that's why Biden wasn't on the ballot. Most people wouldn't see all that. They would just see Biden loses New Hampshire. And so if you're in one of the states that follows New Hampshire, which is most of them, he would then, or you might then be more, like you might consider voting for someone else. Now, I have been a vocal advocate of this in the primaries, is that in the primaries, don't vote for Biden. Vote for the most progressive person there is on your ballot.
Yep.
And then when the candidate ends up being Biden, you just suck it up and vote for him in the general election, because he will then see how many votes the progressives got, and he will then have to, if he wants to keep these votes, he has to tailor his administration to cater more to the progressive people.
It's such a weird thing when people are like, no, I'm not going to vote for him when, you know, the time comes to actually vote. Because then you just kind of look at them and go, okay, so what happens then? Like what? Like just you and me sitting down having a real talk. What happens then? Do we get Trump's America again? Is that's what you want? All right, sure. Why not?
Yeah. Well, so what I kind of wanted to talk about with this, though, is also in New Hampshire, Trump won, as expected. Nikki Haley did pretty decently. That was kind of her last hope. Now, like Trump didn't win by as much as he could have, probably. But I saw there was a write-up, and this was just like some guy's blog, so I wasn't going to use it as a news source, but they pointed out that in the exit polling from the New Hampshire primary, the Republican one specifically, we can't really measure this because of the way you guys do your primaries. You can't really measure this in a cross-party way, but a lot of the people that voted for Nikki Haley were the moderates. And
the people who might not even be voting for Trump when the time comes.
And so New Hampshire is a swing state, and in places where like there is generally a very heavy Republican lead, Trump was like down 40% among moderates. Now, granted, moderates are only a fraction of the base to begin with, but if you're down that much among moderates in a swing state, one of the important swing states, then when it comes to the general election, if these people are like, if they're actually moderates and they don't want Trump, they're going to vote for Biden. At least that is the hope.
I have not been paying as much attention to the entire landscape for the election right now as I should be. The only thing that I saw was Ron DeSantis is topping out.
Yeah, I didn't see his speech, but I saw that someone was saying sip, so I guess somebody redeemed a hydrate.
Drink up.
Yeah, I'm not drinking alcohol tonight. I dipped a sandwich in my scotch earlier today as part of a bit that I was filming. And that was enough.
Oh?
That was enough for me.
Barnow says Vivek also dropped. Yeah, and I'm happy because Vivek was so Ron DeSantis is the cruel and able-bodied dictator in my mind. And Vivek was the fucking cartoon villain.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cartoon villains, Greg Abbott declares that Biden has broken the compact between the United States and Texas, and he invokes the right to defend itself from invasion.
Oh my God, Texas is saying that it's going to do something against the United States, seceding or otherwise? It must be a day that ends in fucking Y.
Yeah.
This stopped being news decades ago.
I mean, but this time there's actually not really a standoff, but there are federal. I don't think it's the army, but there's
it's the National Guard.
Yeah, the National Guard. There's the National Guard is kind of in a standoff with the Texas Guard, or whatever it is. So it's a bit of a tense situation. Now, I'm tempted to say, like, if any Democrat governor had done something like this in an election year, I guarantee you Trump and his campaign team would have been all over that, calling it election interference.
Yep.
Meanwhile, like, I saw tweets from people today that were like talking about this and being like, oh, well, Biden's fucked now because no matter what he did, like, he can't invade Texas himself in an election year. You're like, okay, the election year has nothing to do with that, but sure. But like they were trying to say that, like, oh, Biden's fucked because this happened during an election year. And it's like, yeah, so come to think of it, if something like this had happened and it was a Democrat doing it, you guys would have been all over that, calling it election interference. So like maybe Greg Abbott should stop interfering with the election. I know this has nothing to do with the election, but it just kind of made me laugh. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I didn't even remember to look into this one, but Putin declared he declared that he owns Alaska now.
Yeah, his reasoning is that the contract between the U.S. and Russia, where we bought it for, I think it was $7 million at the time, was considered null and void. He just went like, no, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So well, I'm going to take back Alaska.
Yeah. No, I mean, hopefully that's all just bluff and bluster.
So he said he was going to pull the nuclear option if he didn't get his way over in Ukraine 8 months ago.
Yeah.
At this point, he's a limp-dicked dictator, and he's going to say whatever he can to keep his people looking at him like, yes, look, he is strong. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
All right. Blaine says that contract is 156 plus years old. Yeah.
Yeah, it predates current Russia, the existence of Russia, and it predates the existence of the USSR and goes back to before Russia was Russia and the USSR, back when it was Russia again. So, like, I feel like when the country goes through different states of existence like that, then its treaties from 150 years ago don't necessarily mean anything.
Like, we have existed as a country that had Alaska for longer than Russia has existed as a country that did not have Alaska, or as a country at all.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, Alaska would be one of the worst places for Russia to try to invade. Alaska's a very red state. We have a lot of people with guns there.
Okay. No. Per capita, you have a lot of people with guns, but you like, if you don't have a lot of people there, period.
Look, I'm sure Zod could get 3 people to rally to his defense there. Maybe 4.
At least.
At least.
And hey, we've seen what the Ukrainians can do when they're determined and there's only a few of them versus a bunch of Russians.
Look, when I was up in Alaska hanging out with them, there was like at least one other person in the chicken and waffles place we went to. At least, maybe 2.
Yep. Okay, so back to the story that we're supposed to be talking about. Greg Abbott accuses Joe Biden of breaking the compact between the United States and the states. He's invoking the Lone Star State's right to defend itself against invasion of the southern border. Except generally an invasion would be like a military invasion rather than refugees
like, what is he just
asylum.
Is he just saying invasion because he likes the word? Are we doing the same thing we did with grassroots?
Probably, because like it's not an invasion. It is refugees seeking asylum. And like, yeah, there are issues with that system, but putting up barbed wire and deploying the military ain't gonna fix it.
Yeah, I feel like guns are not the solution to the immigration problem.
Yeah, there was a time
just deploy more gun.
There was a time in American history when there were no requirements for immigration. If you moved there, you're American now.
Give us your poor, you're cold, and you're hungry. Something.
Wasn't just a slogan. That was actually policy. But yeah, executive branch of the United States has a constitutional duty to enforce federal law protecting the states, including immigration laws on the books right now. Yeah, which is why the border protection agencies exist. and why they have processes for dealing with people seeking asylum.
Oy.
It's not like these people, like, for the most part, they don't just escape into the population. They end up spending time in jail because that's what your fucked up system does with them while they're waiting for their hearing to determine whether or not they are worthy of asylum.
And then we get to have conversations about how much slave labor we get to let them do in the prison system.
Yeah, and then we get white nationalists saying they're coming to take our jobs when they're talking about jobs that they wouldn't do anyway.
They're coming to take our job. Where? McDonald's. Do you work at McDonald's? No.
I got a
then
comment
shut the
from
fuck up, Greg.
I got a comment from someone a few days ago that was they were saying that they live in an area that has a lot of stores that are understaffed. Like, there's not enough people working at the stores, and there are help wanted signs in all the windows, and usually there's like long lines of people waiting to get out because they have to wait for the one cashier to check them out.
Yep.
And this person will apparently they will frequently, when they overhear people talking about, like, in their normal conversation, do the whole they're taking our jobs thing, be like, oh, why don't you go apply? They help wanted, like, there's jobs if you want to take one of these jobs that you're afraid of them taking.
Yeah. Nobody's saying you can't, buddy.
Yeah.
Was that whole, like, we don't have enough people working jobs. Oh, no, there's plenty of jobs. I'm working 3 of them, and I still can't afford rent. That whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the states should not be left to the mercy of lawless president who does nothing to stop external threats like cartels smuggling millions of illegal immigrants across the border. You want to talk about lawless president? Which one has 91 felony counts up against him right now?
Yeah.
But, like, even setting that aside, though, historically speaking, the cartels have always been more powerful when there's a Republican president. Like the South and Central American cartels, the drug cartels, the weapons cartels, right? Probably the same people smuggling the illegal immigrants across that don't go through the system. They have more power when Republicans are in power. Because
when Republicans are in power, they tend to do the whole let's get hard on crime, and then suddenly that makes the cartels make a ton more money because everything that they peddle in becomes a lot more desirable.
Yeah. And it makes it easier to get guns because Republicans would never dream of passing a legislation that would make it harder to get guns. So
I have a funny story for you on that front, actually, Rhino. So I recently, a friend of mine said, hey, what gun do you have for home defense? Because when Call for an Uprising was doing his shit very loud and very publicly, I got a gun for home defense. It's a 22, though, which doesn't have a ton of stopping power. So he was like, hey, probably need to get you something that has more stopping power and has hollow point rounds so that when you use it, it doesn't, go into the drywall and hurt your dog or anything. Like, if you're going to have a self-defense gun, get a self-defense gun that actually does self-defense well. So I said, okay, we go to a gun shop to look at stuff. I found this Glock that I kind of liked, and I sit down to do my application process for registering to get the firearm, because every time you get a firearm, at least here in Georgia, you register so that they know who has what thing with what serial code. Mm-hmm. Funny story. So I had to submit for a background check because that was, the policy they had there. I submit for the background check. Usually it comes back within a few minutes. For some reason, their system said that it could not come back that quickly. So they gave me a piece of paper that said, we have until the 19th to get your background check. If we don't get your background check in time, then we are legally allowed to just sell you the gun anyway without background check.
Oh my God.
I'm just sitting there like, then what the fuck is the point of the background check? What's the point of having me do the fucking background check if you've got a clause that says, hey, come back in a week and you can just get it anyway? Why the fuck is this here?
That makes no sense.
It's just one of those things where, like, if somebody wants to tell me that it's not easy to get a gun in the American South, I'm just like, no, I went and fucking did it. It's blindingly easy.
Yeah. So he listed a bunch of stuff, said, for these reasons, I have already declared an invasion under Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, to invoke Texas constitutional authority to defend and protect itself. This is an invasion. Like, I would think that these documents would define what an invasion is, and there would have to be something military about it, I would think. I don't know.
It can't just be the brown people are coming up from the South.
Yeah. Abbott's declaration of his authority is likely a response to the Supreme Court's ruling on Monday that federal border patrol agents could cut razor wire put up along the border by Texas. So yeah, they've been putting razor wire up to hurt families with kids that are just trying to, come and have a chance at living the American dream.
Yeah, because the cartel is not going to be bringing people in through, like, by throwing them up the walls and joists. The cartel is going to bring people in vehicles because the cartel has infrastructure.
Yeah, but the razor wire is a picture that they can take and say, look, we're doing something about the border. Yeah. Even though it doesn't actually do anything. I don't know. Republicans suck. They're like, you just remember shit like this when they say that they're pro-life. Like, pro-life as long as it's straight white Christian.
We're so pro-life, we want your life to be scattered all across the wire. Republicans, everybody.
Adam Broughton says, I'm so glad it's way harder to get deadly weapons in Canada. The whole idea of concealed carry freaks me out, and I'm in the military. Yeah, no, I still remember the first time I was... The first time I was in an airport and I saw people in the military just walking around the airport with their machine guns slung across their shoulder. And it made me super duper uncomfortable. Like, I know these are people in the military, so they're theoretically trained in how to use these things properly. So they're not going to just accidentally shoot me, but like, I'm like just a couple meters away from this killing machine that like at the whim of the person carrying it, or even accidentally maybe, is so easy to just like kill a bunch of people with the thing.
I'm the opposite. Concealed carry doesn't freak me out too much, because in my brain, that's just somebody trying to make sure that they have self-defense. The thing that freaks me out is the open carry, because those are the people that are like, look at me, I got my Kalashnikov on my back, and it sounds American enough for me.
They're the ones that are looking for the brown person to look at them the wrong way and say, I was afraid for my life, that's why I shot.
I know how to use this thing.
Yeah.
You better not act uppity. Like those people. Like, nah, those are the ones that freak me the fuck out.
Yeah. I don't know. They all freak me out. Get your guns away from me.
Our guns have cooties. Keep them away.
Indeed. Okay, last story. Oklahoma state senator really doesn't want you watching porn.
Too bad. Too bad. I'm going to watch all the porn I want. And
this comes to us from Jezebel, which, again, not the most reputable news source. However, the way this one was written was too funny to pass up. So this is Oklahoma State Senator Dusty Devers, Dusty Devers, like
Dusty Beaver?
Dusty Devers. I don't know. His name just sounds like with a name like Dusty Devers, you are destined in life to become the kind of person who would suggest an anti-porn bill to your state senate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's the Christian pastor, religious extremist, and abortion abolitionist. He thinks people who have abortions should be charged with murder. I love this. They say he sort of looks like a flyover state Jordan Peterson. Yeah.
God,
he looks like he's named Dusty Devers.
I was at the gym, and while I was just in the stall, I heard somebody listening to Jordan Peterson on their phone, like in full blast volume. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to just imitate everything he's saying
No, just
in a Kermit the Frog voice.
no, just from the stall, you put on your frog voice and you're like, "It's not easy being green."
It's not easy not having my reputation mismarred by the bar.
Oh my god, his fucking sanctimonious rant that he went on with that was hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. Like, nobody cares, man. Like, you have this played up in your head as if it's like this epic battle that's going to save the world, but it's just like, you have to not be a douche canoe promoting stuff that is actively like the organization that you are a member of, that your membership is like, your ability to practice is determined by your membership in this organization. You can't be promoting stuff that this organization has found to be false and harmful.
Also, he's openly tweeting against the World Health Organization right now.
Yeah.
I saw that. He's very pissed at the WHO.
Someone was calling him a Dalek because he was like,
he's angry
at WHO. You must be eliminated, exterminate the WHO. It's just like, yep, that's a Dalek.
I need to get more Daleks for my magic decks. Anyway.
Yeah, so he proposed Oklahoma Senate Bill 1976 this week, which bundles banning consenting adult pornography with child sex abuse materials, which is CSAM. Now, notably, child sex abuse material, already illegal. Don't need another bill for that. It's already illegal. So what he's doing here is he's sneaking in his porn ban and saying, like, oh, this is actually a ban on child sex abuse materials. So if you vote against this, that means you're in favor of child sex abuse materials. Like, no, those are already illegal. We're just against the porn ban. But it's really hard to defend yourself when you vote against something with that as the name, which we talked about this with the pork fatting on the bills, where they're just sliding these things in on unrelated bills. But he wants
pork fatting, the best.
Yeah, he wants to make viewing pornography a felony offense, punishable with up to 20 years in prison.
What?
Like,
so what do we do? Let's say, for sake of argument, that I'm on OnlyFans and I'm looking at porn that my girlfriend made. Am I going to jail for 20 years for that? Because, like, I could just go into the bedroom and there's no difference.
Not if you're married. If you're married, they have an exception for married people sending each other explicit material. However,
fuck?
The implication there, though, is it is explicitly an exemption from the bill that married people can send each other explicit pictures. What that means is that implicitly, it is now illegal for you to send videos, to just send a picture of your butt to your significant other. You can now go to prison for up to 20 years for not only sending that, but for receiving that. Oh my God, could you imagine if they start prosecuting women who receive dick pics?
They are technically viewing porn.
They're technically viewing porn. It's obscene material.
I agree with what Stoff is saying in my chat. We need to do to this the same thing that we've done on other social media that has been incredibly predatory and stupid. We need to spam this man with Sonic the Hedgehog Rule 34. That is exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, so they point out that in Oklahoma, as in all of the United States, federal and state laws prohibit the production and distribution of child sexual abuse material. So it's already illegal, as it should be. So they're just, using that to nudge the porn in. So here we go. The bill also features one truly laughable exception, which is that it does not prevent spouses from sending images of a sexual nature to each other. And then they follow that up with, "Phew, those bound in union under the frightful gaze of God can still text ass pics to each other. How sweet."
But there's nothing saying that they can make videos and send them to each other. So actually...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I'm still fucked. Got it.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize that. But yeah, so now by implication, you can't send a video. Like, ugh.
But what is a video but a series of images in rapid succession?
I mean, that would be my defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so separate from this, Devers also proposed a number of other bills this week, including one that would ban all abortion without exception and to repeal no-fault divorce.
That last one, the repealing no fault divorce thing. The last person I remember who was trying really, really hard to argue against that was Steven Crowder, and we see how well that's gone.
Was that right before the security camera footage came out of him abusing his wife?
His abusing his wife? Yes, that's weird how that works.
Yeah.
The only people who the only people who don't want no fault divorce, the people who do not want no fault divorce are the ones who want to keep a leash on their partner.
So Sakura says, thing is the U.S. has child marriage. I didn't get into this, but in the bill, there part of it, like when it was talking about the child sex abuse materials, there was a thing where like they're not allowed to make or produce these materials except for their spouse. So like that was included in the child part as well, which is like, no, don't.
God, remember when Tennessee tried to explicitly allow child marriage as a special kind of marriage because it didn't involve gay people? I remember that.
Yeah. Or do you remember that time? I forget which state it was, but they tried to just put a blanket ban on child marriage, and all the Republicans got together and said, no, we can't ban child marriage because if you did that, then some of us would be guilty. Like I'm not even hyperbolizing that. Like I'm not exaggerating at all. Is hyperbolizing a word? It is now.
It is now.
Yeah. So that's not even hyperbole. That was legitimately their defense for that, and it was disgusting.
So, some of the members of this caucus would be implicitly hurt by this. Are you saying that you married your wife when she was like 15? I am not confirming or denying anything. I am simply saying that this is what would happen if... Okay, cool. I'm pressing the button. All of y'all.
Yeah.
That's called grooming.
So this guy's platform on his website had a paragraph that said, there is need for a bold fighter to stand between the people and the ever-expanding government that is infringing on our God-given freedoms. What do you think you're doing when you ban private activities between consenting adults?
Look, I have a God-given freedom to turn on the camera app of my phone, aim it down at my crotch, and hit the snap button.
Yeah.
That is a God-given freedom to me.
Like, I don't know, like, I don't understand how these people don't see how, like, they're talking about how the, like, big government is bad, government encroaching on or infringing on our freedoms is a bad thing. And then they turn around and are like, oh yeah, and by the way, the government wants to make sure that you are obeying the Christian sensibilities when it comes to sex and marriage, instead of, using your God-given freedom to decide for yourself what to do with that.
Look, the God-given freedoms only work if we're specifically doing the things that they want us to do and are happy with us doing, not if we do anything above that at all. No. Yeah. First Amendment covers dick pics.
Yeah. Unless you're Marjorie Taylor Greene in Congress, then that should be illegal.
Then you should be covering the dick pic instead of showing it.
Yeah. You cover it. First Amendment covers your own dick pics. It doesn't cover other people stealing your dick pics or you sending it to people that don't want them. Okay. So that's it for the news tonight. Naramda Putz is a 5-month member. It says, hyperbolized shows up as a real word in dictionaries according to a Google search. That's unexpected. No, it's not unexpected. It's because I am smart. I'm very smart, and I know words. I word good.
You word good?
I word good.
The Dean of the Nerd, thank you for the follow. But also, you word good.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to warn you. We're starting our tweets with Wendell.
We're not allowed to talk about that yet, right?
It's not too bad, though. About what?
Yeah, a thing involving Wendell.
Oh, yeah, no, that. I think it's also involving Paul, which this tweet also is.
Oh,
So
sweet.
fancy that.
Fancy that. This is
So
not an announcement. This is just a tweet.
so Apologia tweeted out, Jesus could have raised from the dead, and one can't establish that via the minimal facts argumentation. Both could be true at the same time. He's just simply pointing out that, like, even if Jesus raised from the dead, the minimal facts argument doesn't actually establish that as a historic fact.
So I hate the minimal facts argument, not because I think it's powerful, but because when you ask a career historian if the minimal facts argument would fly for anything involving history whatsoever for their degree, they would look at you funny.
Yeah.
We don't use the minimal facts argument in actual history, so why would we make a special exception for a miracle functionally?
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's you read ahead. I didn't read out Wendell's tweet yet. He said, doubters hate the minimal facts argument because it's so powerful. Like, no, he's literally pointing out that, like, even if he grants everything that Gary is claiming at the end of the minimal facts argument, the minimal facts argument itself still doesn't get you there because it's not powerful. But, yeah. So that's not a bad one as far as Wendell takes goes. But, do you remember a bit of Orange?
I do remember a bit of Orange.
Yeah.
I miss him. He was funny.
Oh, so I found him on Twitter. I was completely oblivious to the fact that he still exists and he's still active on Twitter. And one of the first things I saw when I clicked on his profile to see what sorts of things he's doing was he was retweeting an account called Women Deserve Less. And the pinned tweet for Women Deserve Less is, I don't want to show it on stream because that would violate YouTube's terms of services for sure. I don't know how it's not been taken down from Twitter. Oh, I know how. It's because Elon Musk is running the site into the ground. But yeah, I don't even feel comfortable describing it.
Speaking of describing, I did get a question in my chat. Can you from Dragonite 43? Can you explain the minimal facts argument? As not everybody knows what that means.
Sure, good point. So minimal facts argument is Gary Habermas's baby. He basically says there are these 6 things about the life of Jesus, or life and death and resurrection of Jesus, that all historians, or the majority of historians, including secular ones, agree on. And it'll be things like Jesus died of crucifixion. Jesus was buried in a tomb. The disciples had experiences that they interpreted as being the risen Jesus. These experiences were powerful enough that they changed their lives. And, like, it's stuff like that.
The last ones are the origin of the Christian faith had to come from somewhere, so why not Christus? If memory serves.
Yeah, it's all trivial stuff that, like, if I grant every single one of those things, it does not actually point to a resurrection, but Gary thinks it does. And he's just written a, like, 4,000 page tome explaining why he thinks it does. And Paul has been reading through it, and I hope, I'm sure he's working on a video. He says he's working on a book now too that he expects to finish in 20 years or so.
20?
Yeah.
Why does it take you 20?
Because he doesn't have the resources that Gary had to just sit down and work 70 hours a week on nothing but your book.
You know, that's fair. That's entirely fair.
Yeah, sorry. Mark Fernkoff is saying the tomb burial is no longer considered one of his minimal facts. That's another aspect of this that is kind of funny to me, is that if you look up video of Gary from the 90s talking about the minimal facts argument, he's got 12 facts that he talks about. And then as time goes on, that list gradually dwindled down. He usually does 6 now. And yeah, the empty tomb is not there. It's just that Jesus died, because it turns out that there's actually no evidence that Jesus was put in a tomb at all.
Yeah, we don't have evidence of an empty tomb.
We don't have evidence of we don't have evidence of a full tomb to begin with. Like, he probably was just thrown in a mass grave.
Yeah, so what we have here is minimal facts that are also minimally considered goalposts.
Yeah.
Just happen to change.
Sacker is asking if the Shroud of Turin was part of those minimal facts. I don't believe it was ever part of the minimal facts. Because Shroud of Turin is...
The shroud is a controversial piece of cloth, even amongst like very religious Christian societies.
Yeah, there are a lot of like hardcore evangelical Christian scholar type people like Gary Habermas that don't take the Shroud of Turin seriously, and for good reason, because it doesn't deserve to be taken seriously. Anyway,
I like how every time we've analyzed the damn thing, it shows that it's a more recent forgery than the actual resurrection. And yet every time we do, somebody goes, no. We have to analyze it again, and they just won't let us.
Well, yeah, my favorite is the answer to the carbon dating thing, where it's like, oh, well, it carbon dated to the 1400s, which is right around the time when this weaving pattern was developed that it was weaved with. And they ignore the weaving pattern thing, but they will say that, the reason it's carbon dated to that is because the little bit of cloth that they took for the carbon dating, that must have been from when they repaired the shroud in the 1400s. That was a bit of cloth from the repair. That wasn't the original.
Mm-hmm. Are we now ship of Theseusing the Shroud of Turin?
Oh yeah, for sure. Fennec is saying, what was the weaving pattern? I don't know. It might not even be weaving. I just know there was something about the pattern as to how the fibers of the thing were put together was a style that was not invented until like the 1400s.
Okay. Actually curious, when was the loam invented?
The loom?
Because now I need to know.
I don't know. Anyway, Carol Mack says, I was in elementary school in the 70s. My experience, did not know one autistic child. No one had a gluten allergy. No one had peanut allergies. No one had milk allergies. No one was bouncing off the walls from ADD or ADHD. No one had autoimmune diseases at that age. No inhalers on the playground. Anyone else?
So, each and every one of these are incorrect or have some other kind of explanation. If we're talking about the...
You mean like how the inhalers didn't get their patent until like 1981, so of course they weren't on the playground in the 70s?
Yeah, they wouldn't have been on the playground in the 70s because they didn't exist. But also, kids were bouncing off the walls with ADD or ADHD. They just were categorized differently by the DSM-3.
They were just called disruptive kids.
Yeah, they were just called disruptive kids then. Now we actually know, because we have the ability to do brain scans, we can actually tell when something is different. When we image somebody's brain, we're like, oh, this brain with autism looks different than this neurotypical brain. That's weird. I wonder why that is. You didn't know one autistic child? Well, guess what? You know more autistic people because the internet has brought more people together. You know what autistic people tended to do before the internet? They stayed in their house and they stayed in their shell. Now they have an avenue to safely talk with other people while still being in the comfort of their own home. So of course you're going to see more of them now. Yeah. Duh. Well, nobody had a gluten allergy. You didn't know what the fuck gluten was back then.
Well, so like the milk allergy, like being lactose intolerant, the majority of the human population has always been lactose intolerant. Lactose tolerance is a mutation that didn't arrive until like 10,000 years ago and mostly exists in like European and Western, like typically countries that are thought of as Western nations. The majority of the world is lactose intolerant and was in the 70s. You didn't see them because you were part of a culture that most people didn't have lactose intolerance. And those that did probably didn't talk about it. They just didn't drink milk. And you never asked them about it.
Yeah, it wasn't. So like now that we live in the age of social media where people not only put more of their lives on the internet where people can see it, but the stuff people do put on the internet is expected to be there forever. For some stupid reason, I don't understand why that is even a thing that we still think about, because we didn't worry about if things said in the public discourse were there for tens of billions of years before, but now suddenly it's important. Things that people say are in there forever, which means the more people who are autistic or have gluten allergies talk about these things, the more data points there are for you to see. You know what your data points were back in the 70s? Your neighbors to your right and your left.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like I have more friends that I have never met than friends that I have met because of the
Yeah,
internet. It brings people
I
together from distant lands.
I hell, I've only been able to meet a lot of my friends who I know from the internet because of conventions. Things like Faithless Forum, where I got to meet Paul and Shannon and GE and everybody, or like various gaming conventions where I've been able to hang out with the Sunset City cast. Like these are people who would have existed only as internet friends had I not had those opportunities.
Actually, speaking of which, I just remembered I did an experiment on Twitter where
Okay.
one of my videos was it was the Lady Ballers one. That was
Oh,
my
the dislike
yeah,
experiment?
yeah. So that was my most disliked video on the channel. And when I started, it had let me took a screenshot. I'm not going to share it, but I can at least look at it so I can tell you what numbers I'm working with. Okay,
Jesus
so when
Christ.
I began my experiment, it had 90 likes and 40 dislikes. That's 69% likes. Nice. And so then I posted like this is my lowest like to dislike ratio on the channel. So since it's already trashed, may as well do an experiment. I've heard that disliking a video still gives it a little boost in the algorithm. So I posted on Twitter and be like, okay, everybody, I want you to go and dislike this video. You don't have to watch it. You just dislike it. And a bunch of people did. It is now sitting at 222 dislikes on 113 likes. So now it's 33.7% is the ratio. And so that's, what are we at? 222? Calculator, 222 minus 40. I should be able to do that in my head. It's 182. So we've gotten 182 dislikes. And if I go to my analytics, since I posted the experiment, I've gotten 831 more views. Now, I know there are going to be some people that saw my post and clicked on it and then didn't, like, they neither liked nor disliked it. But I don't get a whole lot of engagement on my Twitter posts or my text posts on YouTube or whatever. So I feel like this actually was, like, this successfully shows that it's a boost in from the algorithm, rather than just the people that clicked on it. So yeah, successful experiment. Also,
Well,
it was
I
also
hope that
it was kind of a bit of a trick for like my regular channel for me to have an excuse to like promote my other channel. Be like, hey, go click on it, and then while you're there,
yeah. See if we can get it to 20% dislikes. Like 20, like there's 20% likes and 80% dislikes.
God damn it. Okay, I will. Hello, stop, and stop.
Hello.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to the watering hole. Okay, I am posting the link to that video in the chats. Everybody go dislike it.
I'm out. I'm off to Club Bed featuring DJ Pillow and MC Blanky.
Nice. All right. Unbroken says, no, there's not a single documented case of homosexuality outside the human race. Also,
What?
I don't know any straight couples who have anal sex. Sounds pretty rare. I've never met any girl who asked for or even wanted anal sex.
I've met at least 5.
My partner kind of giggled and grinned at me when she heard me read that, so draw from that whatever conclusions you desire.
Unsheath thy sword.
She also she got me a book for Christmas that was entirely about queer animals and homosexuality in nature, and how it actually goes deeper than just like I've talked about giraffes before, and how the observations with giraffes suggest that it's not necessarily that giraffes are homosexual. It's just that they spend most of their time separated by sex, and when they get horny, they don't care whether it's a male or female. It's not that they're homosexual or heterosexual. It's that they're apathetic towards sexuality. I don't know. They don't care. If something's there, they'll fuck it.
When I was a kid, my neighbor's dog jumped the fence and got into our yard. Our neighbor's dog was an old man dog, like 13, 14 years old. Our boxer was also a male dog. Lived to the ripe old age of like 4. Bone cancer got him eventually. It was very sad. As a kid, I got to watch from the backyard window my male dog having his way with the other male dog, and then looking to my mom and going, "He's gay." Is our dog gay, Mom? I don't understand.
Yeah, no. And actually, it's funny because a lot of researchers over the years have they've kind of like they've kind of used euphemisms to hide the fact that this is like like when penguins actually do like homosexual pair bonding and look after eggs and shit together.
Mm-hmm.
They'll like use euphemisms to try and like basically the equivalent of being like, oh yeah, those two guys that live together, they are roommates, they are very good friends.
They were
roommates. Basically the scientific equivalent of that. Oh, LFR said, where's the link? I posted it earlier. I will post it again.
Fennec says, I know several asses ass.
Yeah.
Look,
Oop, no,
we have the phrase, any hole's a goal, for a reason.
Any hole's a goal. Yeah, sure. Okay, I have pinned the message on YouTube. I'm not on my Twitch at the moment, so I can't pin it there, so fuck y'all. That chat's not going fast enough for you to lose track of it anyway.
Unbroken says, I don't know any straight couples who have anal sex. Sounds pretty rare. We only need a few documented cases of straight couples having anal sex on good old Pornhub.com, and you'll know plenty.
Well, I mean, also, there's like, I don't know any straight couples who have anal sex. I don't know any straight couples who discuss having anal sex with me.
Yeah, you just...
So, like, whether they do it or not, they're not telling me about it.
Did you hear yesterday when I was giving my partner a proper shagging, they bent over and spread? Like, no, you don't fucking do that with most people.
And I decided it was best to toss that salad a bit before going in.
She asked where my ranch was, and I obliged.
Yeah, no, that's just not conversations people have. Taking it back to our earlier discussion about my oversharing being good for society, this is why I talk about it. It's not because I overshare, it's because I am selfless in my quest to better society.
You are trying to benefit society as much as you possibly can.
I don't do it for me, I do it for you.
In your ass.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Speaking of ass, Eric Hoven.
Go back to Pensacola, Eric.
Anyway. He says, telling someone the punishment of sin and the way to escape it is hardly a convert or else tactic. It's more of a get out of the road, a truck is coming tactic. Frustrating how some people keep it twisted and misunderstand.
No.
So the way I replied to this is that it's like saying get out of the way, a truck is coming, but you're also driving the truck and you have plenty of time to brake and you could swerve around the person rather than just yell at them and hope they get out of your way. And God is the truck driver. So like, now if God's the one driving the truck and he has the ability to stop the truck before it hits you, then saying get out of the way or a truck's going to hit you comes across very differently than if it's like a third party who
because
has
the
no
truck is
over it.
Trying to hit you at that point.
Yeah. So yeah, it is exactly convert or else.
Convert or get isekai'd.
I don't know what that means. Do I want to know what that means?
I know. I'm not disappointed. I'm not disappointed at all. Okay, so isekai is a term for any show that takes place in another world. Usually the beginning of an isekai show or an anime is a character dies and then wakes up in another world. The joke usually is, oh, the main character got hit by a truck.
Also,
now they're in another world.
Literally the opening to the Bobaverse.
Yes, also the opening to Wizard of Oz.
Also, what is it? That comic by Neil Gaiman, about like the city below or whatever it is. I forget what it's called, but it's really good.
Yeah, any anything where our main character is a fish out of water in another world, like a new one that is separate from our world or a contemporary one, that's an isekai.
Okay,
Just
maybe,
so happens
maybe the Bobaverse doesn't quite fit that, despite fitting the trope at the beginning. Oh yeah, no, kind of. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I'm gonna throw a funny one to my audience to have them
monorail saying the Austin Powers driving a steamroller scene.
I'm going to go ahead and throw a funny one at my audience to have them fight over whether or not this is true. Yu Yu Hakusho starts out as an isekai.
I don't know what that means.
And then becomes not one. Beginning of Yu Yu Hakusho, the main character gets killed by a truck.
Okay, yeah, fine, fine. I'll grant you that. I could have gathered that from the context.
And then he goes to the spirit world where he's told, "Oh,
Fennec, I did just sip.
He's told that he can get his body back. He can go back to reality. However, he has to go do a bunch of good deeds, if in and for the spirit world, to earn the right to get his body back. He ends up not doing enough, and he would have gotten completely consumed by fire. But still, Yu Yu Hakusho is a good show, but I will die on the hill that it begins as an isekai and then becomes a not isekai, because eventually he does make it to the real world and the show properly starts.
Okay, sorry, I'm the Austin Powers steamroller thing. I'm stealing that joke and posting it to Twitter right now as we speak.
Wyvern says, I'm going to say no because he gets his body back. That's why it says it starts out as an isekai, and then it becomes not that. He was in another world for a little bit. And he did kind of go back to it like multiple times. But anyway, you guys fight over that one. That's a free one. Also, Nixie-chan, thank you for gifting out 3 months of Tier 1. Let's just call it a quarter isekai. It's a 5th isekai. There's definitely a 5th arc in that anime somewhere.
All right. Case Orbs.
Ah, okay, cool. I couldn't escape him.
Trump will infringe on rights if reelected. Weird. I don't remember the right calling for the unvaccinated to be sent to camps.
When did we say the unvaccinated need to be sent to camps? When did we do that?
I recall something that the right interpreted as being that. It was probably just a quarantine-related thing. I don't really remember that well. But there was something COVID-related where it's like if you don't have a vaccine, you have to like wait 2 weeks before you can interact with people that might die if you have the deadly disease. So it was like one of those perfectly reasonable things where like you could just get a vaccine and you're fine.
But no, I don't want you to stick a needle in me because I'm really scared of things being put inside me.
That's what I did the first week of the trucker protest, when like because they were in my town because I'm a border town. No, I'm not a border town. I'm in a border town. And as I was driving around wondering what the fuck was going on, I realized it was like the anti-vax trucker convoy thing. I didn't know that it was a full convoy at the time. It was just like driving around and like, why are these guys protesting here for vaccine stuff? At one point I was like rolling down my window being like, why are you scared of needles? And then they were just like confused, like, it's just a needle. Just get the needle. It's fine.
I'm scared of words I can't pronounce.
Needle.
That's not how you spell immunocompromise.
But yeah, also like every law is technically an infringement of rights. Every single one. Like you could say like, oh, the law not to murder, that's infringing on my rights to do what I want with my gun.
It's because the concept of laws is to try to find a balance between your freedom and your safety.
Exactly.
That's the point of them. That is why they are there.
Yeah. And but Trump has actually explicitly said, I'm going to be a dictator. Yeah, he tried to make it sound like he was just joking, but like every other time he's done something like that, and everybody said, oh, he's just joking. He ended up just doing the thing that he said he was just joking about. So, like, why should we assume that he's just joking here?
Yeah, it's what's that phrase? Believe them when they tell you who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when Trump comes out and says, I'm going to be a dictator, let's believe him when he says that, especially since he's already started an attempted coup. Like,
yeah,
we already have the evidence. It's very obvious that what he wants to do. Like, he wants to be president so he can get out of his legal troubles, and he will use the office to try and protect himself as much as possible and enrich himself as much as possible. That's all he wants to do.
So Trump came out. Congratulations.
Yeah. The real world Los Angeles says, newsflash, clothing is not a basic need. You can survive just fine without clothes.
No, you cannot. If you are homeless and in winter, those clothes are the barrier between you and freezing the fuck to death.
Yeah, no, I took the screenshot. This was tweeted out while we were in the middle of a nasty snowstorm, and it was getting down to like -13. It was like, yeah, -13 isn't like the end of the world. Like, yeah, I'm going to be uncomfortable if I have to be outside for an extended period of time, but if I'm in like my bundled up Canadian clothes, I'll be fine. But like, I wouldn't want to be naked out in -13, and
no,
it wouldn't take long to die at all.
Yeah, that's kill you weather. Anything at freezing is kill you weather at exposure. I'm sorry, but I like how their name is The Real World, but obviously they've never interacted with the real world.
Also, they're in Los Angeles, a place known for its very moderate temperate weather that is like beautiful all year long. So like, maybe they're just thinking of the weather that they're familiar with?
Yeah, maybe.
Adam Broughton says, I'm in suburban Ottawa and I still see people supporting the truckers to this day. They'll probably be reinvigorated with the recent court ruling. Yeah, no, we still get them down here every now and then. And usually it's like 1 or 2 trucks, and we'll look and be like, oh yeah, those people still exist. And then we go on with our lives. It's pathetic.
Look, they just want to talk about their freedoms to they are not really sure how to articulate it, but they'll honk their horns.
Oh, there's the hydrate.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
Well, that was the last drop of water in my bottle, so
I guess now you have to resort to alcohol.
That's not near me right now. What? Read your comment. Which, Twitch or YouTube? Take it from another perspective. Women are constantly victim shamed based on what they wear. They were asking for it. What happens when we wear no clothes? Yeah. There you go.
Look at what she wasn't wearing. She must have been cold.
Yeah.
That's like that's about as far as you can get with that one.
I mean, like, that's accurate. Like, they're already saying, look at what she was wearing. It's like, now this guy's saying you're not entitled to clothes. So if you end up naked outside, is that going to also be a look what she was wearing situation? Oh, she was naked. She clearly wanted it. No, you said that we're not entitled to clothes.
Yeah, so just go out without clothes. Obviously, it's okay.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how to pronounce this, so I choose to call it ICOC 49274. Says, you said that there are a lot of dissent people going to hell with Hitler. I think they mean decent, because that's what I said. I didn't say dissent people.
But they dissented down to hell.
Yeah. Reply. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Romans 3, verse 23. There are no dissent people, only sinners who need to atone for their sin. Hope this helps.
No, it doesn't, ICOC. But you can suck an ICOC.
Like, they really just, like, straight up said, you're as bad as Hitler. Hope this helps. Like, what?
I'm sorry, how many Jews did I kill? Give me a second to contemplate. Oh, yeah, 0. Yeah. All right, cool. It's like that one Matt Dillahunty bit where he goes and says, I can write a more moral book than the Bible. It's the Bible without the rape.
Yeah. Travis Edrington says, will you and Lily ever resume the Bible through a child's eyes? I don't think so. It's not looking like our life is going to settle down to a stage where we will have time to do that. Like, finding time to record that would be difficult right now, and then I would also have to edit it. And yeah, I'm only now just starting to catch up from falling behind in like October. So I don't foresee that coming back anytime soon, which is unfortunate because it was fun. I enjoyed doing that with her.
Hi, girl. Why is it always around this time, Growlith? How do you have an alarm set in your brain for this?
Is it food time?
It's go outside and potty time. I guess she's wired for 10 p.m. Wednesday is the time every time to go.
Fennec says iCock sounds like a weird Apple device.
Try the iCock, also known as the Ona hole.
Well, that was the last tweet, so you can go let your dog pee.
Growlith, do you want to... Oh, you still have your harness on from today when you tripped me. Let me take this harness off of you, hon.
Oh, poor Growlith.
She's had to wear a harness that has been fitted for her for more than the amount of time we would spend at the square. Okay, here you go, Growly. I've taken it off of you. You're not leaving. That means you really want to go potty. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me, even though you didn't feel like it. If it makes you feel better, I didn't feel like it either tonight.
Well, I'm glad to know.
All right. So
that you wanted to spend that time with me too. Gosh.
My God,
Fritz just said poor dog drug his ass down the hill.
I guess I can't not insult my guests because, like, last week, John got all annoyed because I was like, he's discount Cirrus. He's my sub this week.
Jesus.
But that's just who I am.
Bad for GE.
No, it was fun. We had a good time.
I'm sure he's certainly gotten tired of going, hey, Cirrus, check out this deck I made. And I'm like, but why do you have this land in there? I think that's a bad land to have in your deck. All right, I'm going to go let Growlith out.
Okay, so God help you. I sure can't.